Alright, welcome back everybody to another episode of the Common Taker Podcast. Once again, this is your boy Christian, and today, given the circumstances we are living in this world, I'm going to do something a little bit different, a little bit special. I guess special, but I'm going to be, in the next couple weeks, if time is on my side, I am going to be reliving the 3 championships the Houston Dynamo has, won under their shield. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and just properly introduce myself, give out my social media, and then we get going into what's going on in a better way. So once again, boy Christian, you can find me on Twitter at Cris Putalias, CRISPUTALLAZ. Also, you can find me on Instagram under Cristian Putaleas, which is CRISTIANPUTALLAZ, which is my full name. Also, you can hit me up, or not hit me up, but find me with the guys in Dynamo Theory. I'm writing, between quotes, some articles for those guys, with those guys, and also I am going to in the near future, maybe this episode, I'm going to be part of their podcast network. So, if everything goes well and everything happens, this probably will be the first episode. If not, then in the near future, hopefully things go well, this will be part of that as well. So big shout out to them. Thank you for letting me be part of this. And hopefully we can make, the Dynamo as a team, Dynamo as a culture, and Houston as a soccer city become great as it should be. So going back to greatness, going back to this whole, being great soccer city, I wanted to go back into the great moments of this soccer city, which are the 2006, 2007 MLS Cups, and also the 2019 US Open Cup. So, like I mentioned before, I am going to be rewatching those. Actually, I've never seen I just watched the 2006 MLS final, but I've never seen the 2007. So I'm going to go back, rewatch those games. Me and my wife went to the 2018 US Open Cup. We were there for that. But I'm going to go back, relive the moment, and break it down as I usually do in my own way and perspective. But since, a lot of people are not going to be, or they've seen those games and they don't want a real breakdown, I'm just going to break down stuff that was going on at that time, stuff that caught my eye because, some of these games happened, more than 10 years ago. 14, I guess it would be 2006 to 2020. So 16 years ago and 14 and 13 years ago. And then obviously the most recent US Open Cup back in 2018. So 2006, a lot of stuff was going on. This episode, like I said, I'm going to be a lot of computer digging, a lot of stuff that's going to be done at the moment. I'm not going to put a lot of, work into it. That sounds pretty bad, but I just wanted to be kind of rawish, like raw emotions and the whole thing. But yeah, 2006, I was November 2006. I was a sophomore in high school. And to be completely honest, I had no idea, most likely I had no idea that the Houston Dynamo was actually in Houston. I wasn't a fan of the MLS at that point in time. I was very dedicated to my Boca Juniors, let's say it correctly. Very dedicated to that team. That was part of the 2000s, were part of the golden era of Boca. So I was fully, embedded into that. So I wasn't paying attention to, to a beginning MLS where a lot of people were still, putting it down as a league, putting it down as a soccer, world league and stuff like that. So it wasn't as recognized, not even here in Houston where we had the championship team. It wasn't being as recognized as I wanted to be in the soccer community, I guess. But one of the things that I remember 2006, sophomore in high school, I had long hair. That's number one. I had long hair almost to like mid back. I was trying out for my high school team, which I actually made it to the varsity team. Just saying. So first time I actually didn't try out my freshman year because I was transferring from another high school to the high school where I graduated from. So I went to, I lived in Southwest Houston. So I went to Paul Revere Middle School. Shout outs to those guys. And then I went to Westside High School for like 2-3 months. And then from Westside High School, my family moved to Katy, Texas, where I attended Taylor High School, Katy Taylor High School, what they call it because there's 2 Taylors at the time, or there's the A-Leaf Taylor and Katy Taylor. So I graduated from Katy Taylor. I played 3 years there, varsity, sophomore year, junior year, obviously senior year. And I knew the only thing I knew about the Houston Dynamo was that one of the guys that I played with was in the academy, and he was really good. So he actually played in college. Can't remember where. I just remember his name was Josh Stout. He really good midfielder. I wish he would have pursued it a little bit more. I think he ended up doing other things. I don't know what happened. I didn't keep up with him. But he was a really good player. And all I knew about the Houston Dynamo was that they had an academy. And actually, my senior year, I was going to try out for the academy. But, which is one of the things that I wanted to talk about too, was that for you in order to try out, you had to pay like, I can't remember, but it was like $150 or like $200. And I remember at the time, my family wasn't in the best economical shape. So, they didn't have $200 for me or $150 for me to go try out for the Dynamo Academy. And then given the circumstances, if I was able to make it into the academy, that meant that I would have to travel to the practices, which most likely were in Pearland, the Houston Sports Park or whatever, or wherever the Houston Dynamo was practicing at the time. So that would have been a whole trip for my family for me to go over there. I mean, even though that was like the dream for me, I've been wanting to be a professional soccer player since I was like 4, since I started playing soccer. A lot of circumstances in life weren't gonna make that happen, but that's my story. And also 2006, a great year for soccer cleats. So watching this game, it brought me so many memories of probably, a handful of the greatest soccer cleats ever, created. Honestly, I haven't kept up with all these, fancy, colorful soccer cleats lately because I'm a pretty traditional guy. I usually tend to go with the, black Nikes, with the Tiempos. I'm just that type of guy. I mean, I'm the type of person that, in my head, for some reason, numbers on the back of your jersey have to match the position you play in the field, and also cleats that you have in your feet have to match the position you play in the field. For some reason, in my mind, if you had Cristiano Ronaldo shoes or Ronaldo, actual, first Ronaldo, the yellow soccer cleats that Dempsey was using in this final, those were strictly, in my head, for forwards and for kids that were really, really fast. And those are the kids that wore it. Also, for example, I saw somebody wearing the F50 Adidas. I don't know if you guys remember. Those were the first ones that Messi would wear in the beginning of times, whenever, before he was Messi. Well, I guess it was not really. It was the first Messi collaboration that he had with Adidas. And it was the one that had the weird tongue that covered all the laces. I didn't like those, but I knew those were in my head for fast forwards or wingers. And then another one that I saw that I actually had a pair. I actually had these two next ones, but I had them in different colorways. So probably one, I don't know. There's weird because they're both were like really, really like two of my favorite cleats. These are it. So number one are the R10, the Ronaldinho ones, the Nike ones. They were like the Tiempo ones, but they were Ronaldinho's. And actually, Brad Davis was using the golden ones that everybody was using. And obviously I was flashy in a way, but I wasn't flashy enough to wear the gold boots, So I would leave those to like the number 10 kids that with all the skills. I played like center back or like sweeper, depending on the on the formation we were playing. So I had to play with like the rough black. In my head were like the rough. I'm gonna hit you in the back of your head if I can, cleats type deal. But I had the R10s, and I actually have some Tiempos right now that I have been in my closet for like a year that I haven't worn. So if you are playing in actual grass out there and you need a player, hit me up. I got my cleats ready to go. So just let me know. And then also one of my favorite cleats of all times, were the Beckham Predators. You remember the ones that had the weird tongue that kind of stuck out, and they had the little elastic that you would put under the shoe to keep it. And I had the baby blue ones. So obviously those were in my head for like really skillful players that played, Beckham's positions like wingers or like midfield. And in my club team, I kind of played a mixture of like defensive mid, and so I played for Texas Premier. I don't know if you guys remember that back in the 2000s. So that was the club that I played with, and I started off as a number 10 for the team, and then I kept kind of going back. So I started as a number 10 defensive mid, and then I ended up playing sweeper. And as I grew, age. I kept going back, but those were so the Beckhams. A funny story were like the first time my parents dropped a lot of cash on shoes, and I was super excited because we went to I believe it was Soccer for All here in Katy, and we went into the stores. We were the typical go to Academy family and buy like the cheap cleats, for like $40-$50 or whatever, because the player is not made by the cleats, but is made by what you do in the field. But I remember it was the first time my dad and my mom actually took me to, because I believe it was I want to say it was my sophomore year or my junior year, but I think it was my sophomore year because I had just made varsity, and obviously that was like a big thing for me and then for my family or whatever. So, they were like, I guess we can spend some cash since you made it to the team or whatever. So they took me to Soccer for All, and the cleats came, like, obviously in the box, and they came in a little bag, in a little, like, Predator bag or, like, cleat bag. And then it came with 2 pairs of insoles. And I was like, what the hell? Like, what are these? And it was 2 different ones. One of them had little weights on them, and it was funny enough because like you would use those for practices. So like the ones with the weights, you would put them in the shoe, and then on the bottom of the shoe I had a little clear part where when you put the insole in the shoe, it had a little hole, kind of like a clear patch on the bottom that you can actually see the weight on the thing. And then obviously for games you would take the soles out, and then you would put the soles without weight on them. So the whole point of that was that, you would make your foot get stronger. You putting weights on it, it would make your feet get stronger, your foot get stronger, your kick stronger. And then whenever you would go to the game, you would have a lighter foot, a lighter shoe that would make you, kick, farther, harder, better touch. So the Beckhams, the Predators were like my favorite ones. I saw a couple of players playing with the maroon ones. So those were like really good memories that took me back to my teenage years, where I was wrecking on them boys, how I like to say. Also, another thing that was very, very interesting was obviously the format of the MLS. MLS nowadays, as we know, well, not now because we're not playing much, but 30 teams. Well, like I guess divided in half, like 15 each conference. But back in the day, there was only 12 teams. 12 teams back in 2006. Sorry. 6 on the east, 6 on the west. The teams would play 4 times against conference rivals, or like teams in your own conference, and then they would play twice against the opposite conference. A lot. I mean, I guess you needed to play a lot of games to like stretch out the season, because there was only 12 teams, and literally out of the 6 on each conference, 4 of those would go into the playoffs. Obviously, with having less teams, the playoffs were a lot quicker. So also they had a weird format, and actually I thought about watching all the playoff games, but it would have been a lot of time. This final was long as crap, because 0-0 and then overtime and then penalties. That's a good like 2 hours that I sat down to watch that one. But yeah, the format was the first playoff game, which is like the conference semifinal. It was 2 games, 1 away, 1 at home, and we played Chivas USA when Chivas USA was a team back in the day. Went over there. We lost 2-1. We missed a penalty, and like towards the end of the game, DeWinder Rosario missed a penalty. I think minute 86, if I recall. Then we came back to Houston, and then we beat them 2-0, which put us in the global score of 3-2. So we were able to move forward, and we faced Colorado. So after facing Colorado, if I'm not mistaken, so it was a one game ordeal. And hold on, let me look this up, because I've been looking at this all day. So we played. Well, I don't want to keep y'all waiting for too long. 3-1 against conference final. A conference final rival, which was Colorado Rapids. 3-1. We played at home, and then we were ready to go and take a trip up to Frisco, Texas. Funny enough, that's where Dallas FC plays. But it's funny because I was watching the game, and the commentator would often say, we're up here in Frisco, Texas, which is pretty funny because, as we know, as Houston Dynamo fans, our rivals are in-state rivals, other than the newcomer Austin FC is going to be, it's Frisco FC. But yeah, we went up there. I actually read that the legend Mattress Mac got people together, made a caravan, and rode up 4 hours with a whole bunch of people. I was watching a video, or not videos, but they were showing all the amount of people that that went to the MLS, to the final. There was a huge number of Houston Dynamo fans, and like great number. With it's cool to see the El Batallón flag, the Turks and Army flag, and it was cool to see that those guys have been from the beginning, because sometimes you see them now, 2020, 14 years later, and you see the same exact flags that were being flown over there in Frisco, Texas, being flown here in Houston, almost 20, let's just say 15 years later. So you see the commitment of these supporter groups, giving in their all, being there for the good times and the bad times, as we've been lately, but we're still going strong. So shout out to the supporter groups that were there, the OG supporter groups that were there from the beginning, to El Batallón and Texan Army, shout outs to you guys. So another thing, let's see what else was happening in 2006. 2000, let's Google 2006. So 2006 was also a World Cup year. World Cup year. It was in, let's look it up. I think it was Germany, 2006. That's the one. Yeah, Germany 2006. That's the one that Italy won. They beat France. That's where the famous Zinedine Zidane butthead to Materazzi, I believe, from Italy, in the right in the chest. It was a really good game. France should have won it. Well, I guess not would have won it. I think everybody wanted just Zidane to win it, just because of the beast of a player he was. But I remember, was that Germany 2006? I was 14? I was a pretty young kid in high school. So I was like 14 years old. But it was crazy, a crazy World Cup. Italy, I just remember that because one of the players that played in Italy, Camoranesi, was actually Argentinian, or he was born in Argentina, but he played for Italy in the World Cup. And I remember that he had long hair, and I guess he made a promise to somebody that if they would have won, he was gonna cut his hair. So as soon as the game ended, they pulled up a chair in the middle of the field and they chopped his head off, or not his head off, his hair off. Sorry, and just two different things. It was a terrible year for Argentina, to say the least. Argentina had a really bad World Cups when it came to 2002 and 2006. 2010 was alright. It was out in Brazil, right? 2010 or 2014? No, 2010 was in South Africa, right? And 2014 was in Brazil. That I think we all know what happened in 2000. Okay, so let's do a breakdown of the game real quick. I think we're already deep in there. Yeah, 22 minutes. I wanted to keep it at 30, so let's do a quick breakdown of the game. If you haven't watched it, Houston Dynamo came out, attacked like the first 10-15 minutes, just bam, bam, bam. We actually hit the post once in those 20 minutes. Then the Revolution came back and they started attacking, bang, bang, bang. And they attacked so much that actually our coach Kinnear at the time switched the formation from a 4-4-2 to a 3-5-1-1, I guess, because Dwayne De Rosario and Ching were playing, one in front of the other. Ching was always playing on top of Dwayne De Rosario. Let me go look at the formation. We had really good players. I didn't know about the Houston Dynamo in the beginning. San Jose Earthquakes transferred or came over here, relocation. But we started with Onstad Ungle, beast. Wavell on the right. Cochran, center back. Robinson, shout out to Eddie Robinson, still doing some Houston Dynamo stuff here in the city. If you watch the games on the Cube and the local, also if you follow Glenn Davis, he's always there sometimes. So Eddie Robinson, a beast back there too. Barrett on the left, and then we unfortunately, because of accumulations of cards, the legend, oh my god, forget his name. Jesus Christ, why am I forgetting his name? Clark. Terrible Houston Dynamo fan. Clark, I forgot his name. Jesus Christ. Clark, because of accumulations of cards, wasn't able to play because of the, if you get a certain amount of yellow cards, they act like as a red card. So, Sirius? Serious. It's a Canadian guy. Played really well. He came back. He actually was, other than Chang, he was the man of the match for me because he locked it down when it came to playing in the middle. Mulan, number 9, great player on the right wing. Davis, obviously legend on the left. He was really good back in the day. I mean, he was really good till the end. But, he was good. And then you had De Rosario as number 10. And then you had up top Ching and Dalglish. Really good team. Really good team, to be honest. The way that they played, even though towards like the beginning of the first half, they kind of died down a little bit. The back that was really strong, starting from Sirix to Robinson, Cochran, Wavell, Barrett, really good back there. Mullen and Davis were really good on the wings, going back and forth. Mullen, very surprising, very quick guy. He was killing the right side, and then obviously Davis, we know the caliber of player that he was. Funny thing is that I'm watching here that Wondolowski, the great Wondolowski, was actually was in the bench for us at that time. I didn't know. Obviously, I didn't know much about this Houston Dynamo, so a lot of things are like surprising me. And then Stuart Holden, the great Stuart Holden, who is a TV analyst for Fox Sports, I believe, and now he's part owner of of Mallorca in La Liga. He also played for us, and actually he went in the second half and had a pretty good game. Let's see, what else do we have here? And then Alejandro Moreno also went in. He also did a pretty good job. But, 0-0 the whole game. Second half was a little bit more balanced, here and there, coming back, here and there. Pretty good. And then extra time, it was so funny because, obviously I knew the score by then. But it was funny to see whenever the New England Revolution scored. The dude that scored, Taylor Twelman, he scored from one side of the goal, like on one goal, and then he ran all the way to the other side to celebrate with his fans, right? And he rode, he ran across the whole field, and then they were showing the celebration, Taylor Twelman, 12 goals, this and that. I actually have a screenshot on my phone that I'll be posting these, between tomorrow and Monday. And then literally when they go back to the game, you see who was let me see who gave the pass, the assist. Let me see if I can find it. Who gave the assist? Come on, give me the assist. Oh man. Alright, well I can't see. I can't. Brian Mullen, yeah, he had a great game on the right. He grabbed the ball literally from they came out from midfield, gave it to Mullen. Mullen ran down the right flank, crossed it to Chin, and Chin, bam, header into the second post of the goalie. Literally 71 seconds after they scored the game, that they thought that was going to kill the game, because it was like 5 minutes till the end of the game. We came back a minute and 11 seconds later, and most of that minute was because of the celebration, so it could have been even less. And we came back, scored it, came back, tied the game, went to penalties. Penalties, as we all know, they can be a little nerve-wracking. So we went first. Gray scored. Joseph, really good player for them, scored. Holden went and scored. Reese, the goalie. Dude, their goalie, beast, taking penalties. Cold-blooded as a mother trucker. Put that top 90. Badass goalie. 2-2. Then De Rosario win. 3-2. And then their defend, I think it was I don't know if he's a defender or not, but Noonan went in, hit the 32 high, so that's 3-2. Wait, not 3-2. There you go. Camera. Sorry, I have a camera. Davis won to kill it. Goalie saved it. Terrible penalty. Terrible penalty by Davis. Terrible penalty. Like, his whole body movement was like, hey, I'm going to kick it this way. Like, from him standing to kick the ball to him kicking the ball, he told the goalie where he was going to kick it. And then Twellman went. He tied the game 3-3. Then Ching was our fifth and final kicker. He went, scored, and then Heaps went in, the defender, and he got stopped by Onstad. So we have two legends and two saviors, Ching and Onstad. Onstad, given his age at that time, I think he was like, 41? Nah, I'm tripping. He wasn't 41. But he was older. He was older in soccer terms. But he had a heck of a game, heck of a save in the first half. Second half. First half. And then Ching, obviously, heck of a goal also. So those were my my things. Let me go ahead and give you a quick rating for each player, just because why not? Onstad, 9. Wavell, 8. I didn't see him that much. Cochran, 8. Robinson, 8. Barrett, 8. Sirix, 9. Mulan, 9. Davis, 8. De Rosario, 7.5, 8. Daglish, 8. He fought so much for those balls, even though he was the first one to come out. Daglish was, the announcers were saying that to him it was like the game of his life. And then Ching, of course. You didn't see him at all in the whole game. I think he only had one chance in the actual game, and then obviously he came back and scored the tying goal and the last penalty for us. So he also gets a 9.5 just because he basically gave Houston his first championship when it came to soccer. So other than that, I have nothing else. 2006, it was a great year in Houston, Texas. And I wonder what 2007 has in store for us. So that's funny, huh? Yeah. Sorry, she's laughing because that was a funny transition, I guess. That's good. You want to say it again? I'll bring it back. So
13 years ago.
Yeah. So 2006 is a good year. I wonder what 2007 has in store for us. So yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to have it next week because I'm having a baby. Well, not me, my wife is. But I'm probably gonna be occupied. But the good thing is that I'm actually, since this whole quarantine stuff happened and coronavirus thing happened, I haven't had any days off or anything because both of my jobs are essentials. So I've been working regular schedules, and like for example, this week I'm working almost 80 hours, 76 to be exact. So it's kind of hard for me to find time to actually watch a 2-hour game, try to put this together, and then all this stuff to have it in time. And also on top of that, I'm having a kid, and I have 2 already. So so it's kind of tough to find time, and I have to take naps. So we gotta add nap time into that. But yeah, so I'll try to have a 2007 highlight thing. Hopefully I have a little bit more information. Obviously, the most exciting part for me, other than the championship, was the cleats. So I'll try to have another story. Hopefully 2007 was a better year, which was, because we got our second championship back to back. And then we'll do a more current one with the 2019 US Open Cup. And hopefully next year I'll be doing a 2020 Cup if we play something. Because to be honest, nowadays we're not even playing tic-tac-toe. So it is what it is. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for following. I'm working a whole bunch of stuff, mentally. I have a bunch of ideas that I want to do with this podcast and with other podcasts that I will be starting. So be on the lookout for that. Hopefully in the near future, you'll have this sign right here. It'll be a personal thing that I've been wanting to do for years. So I'll be working on that. And then I have another idea that I've been brewing, which has a bunch of other stuff that comes into play, where I'm gonna need I have a camera, but I'm gonna need somebody to manage the camera. It's gonna require some traveling in town. It's gonna require me meeting people and producing a little bit more things, but hopefully in the near future. So if you want to do hang out, and obviously not now because Corona, but if you want to hang out and after all this and you want to spit some ideas and see what we can do, I have a bunch of ideas, and if you're tech savvy, hit me up. I need help. But other than that, thank you very much. Christian Putaleas on everything, and everywhere. So hit me up, let me know what you think, and hopefully this video will be up on YouTube as well. So thank you guys. See you guys later. Remember, hold it down for H-Town, Forever Orange. See you guys. Peace and deuces.